Here's your wrestling news for April 27th, 2021. And if you like what you're watching, smash that like button and give us 1,000 likes or more. And your headlines for today include Braun Strowman added to WWE Championship match at Wrestlemania Backlash. What's the direction of WWE? WWE could move NXT back to Wednesdays now. AEW already feels the impact. Real reason why Randy Orton turned face and formed a tag team with Riddle on Raw. Randy Orton's current injury status. Major changes took place on recent WWE Raw. Supreme Court refused to hear concussion lawsuits appeals. Where are the WWE Raw Tag Team Champions? Major takeaways from Alexa Bliss and Lily's segment from Raw. Fans drag Adnan and Virk over botching commentary on WWE Raw, and more. We're starting today with WWE, and if you put Bobby Lashley and Drew McIntyre in the ring again at WrestleMania Backlash, the pair would no doubt tear the house down. But that's not the match we'll be getting. During Raw, Adam Pearce said that if Strowman could beat McIntyre in the main event, he would get added to the WWE Championship match at Backlash, and that match feels fresher with the monster among men in the mix. Strowman did win his big WrestleMania match, unlike McIntyre, and he did not technically lose the main event match on the WWE Raw a few weeks ago to determine the #1 contender, making him a deserving candidate for the WWE title. Do you think Strowman or McIntyre will be able to topple the almighty WWE Champion at WrestleMania Backlash? And if not either former world champion, who can stop Bobby Lashley? Earlier this month, NXT was moved to Tuesday nights, ending the Wednesday Night Wars against AEW Dynamite. Though AEW have taken credit for scaring NXT away, this move was orchestrated by NBC Universal, who wanted to open Wednesday nights for the National Hockey League following the closure of NBC Sports Network. Now, the Wednesday Night Wars may be back on as NBC has pulled out of bidding for the television rights to the NHL, meaning that the Wednesday night slot on the USA Network previously held by NXT remains empty. Whilst NBC weren't prepared to put in an offer to air NHL programming, Warner Media was, which may be bad news for AEW. As first reported by The Hollywood Reporter, Warner Media, which owns Turner Sports, will pick up many contracts to air NHL content and will own the rights for 7 years. This 7-year contract will include 3 Stanley Cup Finals, and sources report that Turner, TNT, and TBS will pay approximately $225 million per season over the next 7 years. That means if Warner Media chooses to air hockey on Wednesday nights on TNT, then it'll be Dynamite that'll have to move to a new spot. The Associated Press reports that this deal hasn't been signed yet, but is expected to be finalized soon. And for all their talk about scaring NXT off Wednesdays, it may now be AEW's turn to be moved due to factors beyond their control. More from Raw next, and though many fans expected Randy Orton to defeat Riddle last night, getting his win back from last week's show, we were pleasantly surprised. In 2021, Orton has spent most of his time feuding with Alexa Bliss and The Fiend, and now that this storyline is over, his character has been up in the air. During that feud, Orton's character dynamic was blurred as though he was logically the babyface. Bliss and Wyatt weren't presented as heels, and either way, we now have a clearer indicator of what Orton's character is. After an upset loss to Riddle last week, the Viper admitted he respected the former US champion during a backstage segment last night and took up his offer to form a tag team called RK Bro, but only if they won on the night. As strange as RK Bro may be, the pair worked, defeating Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander. We're wondering if this is an attempt to turn Orton face, given that Bobby Lashley will need faces to deal with when he's finished with Drew McIntyre and Braun Strowman, and aligning with the ever-popular Riddle is a smart way to turn the Viper. Perhaps Orton and Riddle could go after the Raw Tag Team titles at some point, or perhaps this is a repetition of the 2016 storyline between AJ Styles and Chris Jericho. A little WWE history lesson, Styles debuted in January 2016 and had a series of matches with Jericho, a feud where Styles emerged victorious 2-1. Not long after, the pair formed a tag team, Y2AJ, and even sold merchandise, but when the pair failed to dethrone the then WWE champions The New Day, Jericho turned on Styles, setting up their 4th match at WrestleMania 32, which Jericho won. This could be a recycled version of it where WWE goes all out to try and make us believe that Riddle and Randy Orton will be a legitimate tag team, only for it to be one big swerve. It's also been reported that Orton has requested to work with Riddle, though we imagine the Viper was looking for a feud, not a team-up. If WWE plans to repeat the Y2AJ angle, then any RK Bro merch made before the split will be valuable, and we'll have to wait and see what happens with the new team. This week's win may have been a sign of things to come for Orton, but after a reported shoulder injury last week, we have an update on his condition. According to Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful, the former world champion got hurt this week too. We are told that Orton sustained a deep bruise in the shoulder area, but initially at least there didn't seem to be major damage that would sideline him for a long period of time. Orton's shoulder hypermobility means it's very easy for him to dislocate his shoulder, and given that this is the second straight week he's been reported as hurt, it may do him some good to take some time off, injured or not. Last Sunday, Kenny Omega made history as after defeating Rich Swann, he became the first man to hold the AEW and Impact World Championships. As he's not an Impact contracted wrestler, fans have been left wondering what the future holds for him and the title, and on Twitter, Impact executive Scott D'Amore said he both trusts and expects Omega to honor the commitments of being Impact World Champion. It seems like Omega will be appearing on both AEW and Impact programming now that he holds both titles, so fans should expect to see a lot more of the cleaner. More from Raw, and given they faced off last week, many fans were surprised to see Orton teaming with Riddle, and it turns out this is something the Legend Killer is a fan of. Originally, the plan was for Riddle to continue his feud with Sheamus, and this feud is why the WrestleMania match between the pair was changed so that Sheamus won the US title. The other plan, according to Fightful, was for Orton to feud with Braun Strowman, as WWE hyped up the first ever singles collision between the two last week, but those plans were also nixed. It's reported that Orton has specifically requested working with Riddle, which led to these two feuds being dropped and many storylines changed. Now, Sheamus' storyline sees him issuing a US Open challenge, and whilst Riddle won't be answering the call, the fact that the Viper wants to work with him is a very good sign. Now, for years, WWE has been plagued by the lawyer Konstantin Kairos, who has constantly tried to sue the company for concussion-related issues. Kairos has always claimed that WWE failed to protect superstars from long-term brain damage, though his cases have continuously been rejected by courts. Last September, Kairos was reprimanded by a Massachusetts plaintiff counsel who singled him out for plagiarism and making false claims, and now he's suffered another setback. After his lawsuits were rejected by the lower courts, Kairos filed for them to be heard by the Supreme Court, who this week rejected this plea. Kairos represented several names from wrestling including Chavo Guerrero, Sabu, Ahmed Johnson, and deceased wrestlers including King Kong Bundy and Jimmy Snuka. WWE's defense has been that Kairos couldn't prove that brain damage occurred specifically because of WWE's negligence, as those listed in the suit competed in other promotions. In a statement, WWE's attorney Jerry McDevitt said, "We're glad it's finally over, we're completely vindicated. Now all that's left to do is for Kairos to pay WWE's legal fees, and given how many years he's been a thorn in their side, we imagine that'll be a hefty sum." Back to the ring, and given their absence in recent weeks, we're wondering why AJ Styles and Omos won the Raw Tag Team titles at WrestleMania, as they haven't been used since. Recently, the Viking Raiders were brought in and presented as strong contenders for the Raw Tag Team titles, but they too were absent from this week's show. As weak as the SmackDown Tag Division is, rotating around the same four teams, at least their champions are on the show, and we're wondering if either Styles or Omos is dealing with an injury that we're unaware of that's kept both men off WWE Raw. Speaking of superstars going AWOL, Bray Wyatt also didn't appear, and it must be noted that before he returned to action, he had been missing for a very long time indeed. During his feud with Randy Orton, The Fiend's presence was always around thanks to Alexa Bliss, but now that she's feuding with him, it's difficult to take her new gimmick seriously when Wyatt isn't around for the story to continue. There's just a general sense of aimlessness when it comes to the programming on WWE Raw, and it doesn't make for good television. This week's Raw saw another appearance by Alexa Bliss, once more in her playground, and as expected, the former women's champion continues to not compete. Though she's not wrestled since her match at Fastlane, Bliss did tease re-entering the women's division as she spoke more about Lily and trolled fans with a calm and peaceful background. Truly deviated from the Fiend, Bliss has become an entity of her own, and Lily could be a huge factor in Bliss's next singles feud, whenever that'll be. It'll be interesting to see who Bliss chooses as her first opponent, as Nikki Cross would be the obvious choice, especially given her team with Bliss last year, and that she hasn't been utilized since. The change in Bliss's character has affected Cross too, and she may have to be on the losing end of this feud if it happens, and though we don't expect Alexa to be competing for any titles anytime soon, she's already big enough to do so if WWE decides to go that route. And we're ending today with Adnan Virk, and fans haven't come around to the new voice of Raw yet. This week, when Braun Strowman did his running freight train spot around the ring this week, Virk strangely chose to use the line from Jaws, "We're gonna need a bigger boat." To be clear, Strowman isn't a metaphorical boat, he's a metaphorical train, and fans, alongside Corey Graves, were quick to call out Virk for the botch. Recently, Virk said his plan is to commentate for such a long time that fans get used to him even if he doesn't improve, but we doubt fans will be easing up on him anytime soon if these botches continue. Well guys, that's our news for today. Please share your comments below. Also hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon to receive all notifications. And as always, thanks for watching.